In this video, we're going to be looking at some data that analysed one of the shows that Ed Sheeran did when he was touring in Australia on this part of his world tour. If you have a look here in our table of data on the left-hand side, we've got a section at the top that looks at the revenue that he made, so how much money he actually brought in. That's what the word revenue means, basically. That's your income, or how much money you're making. Looking at the bottom of the table, we've got the cost section. So how much it actually costs to run a show. Okay, so you can see that we had to actually pay to get some merchandise made, and we've got things like advertising and a manager's fee, for example. Okay, so we've got to take that into account as well. So we're going to be analysing all of this data and working out whether he made a profit or a loss. Okay, whether he brought money in or actually spent too much. Okay, so let's start by having a look at the questions down the right hand side, and we'll work through them one by one. The first question says that we need to format the spreadsheet using suitable colour, fonts, alignment and borders. Okay, so we just got to make this look pretty basically. So I'm going to start with the heading at the top. I'm going to make it bold, bump it up in size, and I'm going to highlight from cell B2 across to E2, that's just across the top of my table there, and choose merge and center at the top, just to join those cells together and center the heading. If you want, you can make it a little bit bigger as well, that row. Okay, there's a few subheadings that we need to highlight now. So in the revenue section, we've got these three headings as well. We just want to turn into bold. We might highlight total revenue as well and turn that bold. Down in the cost section, we'll highlight all the subheadings down there. And also along the bottom here, the costs and the profit and loss, we'll make them bold as well. So that's looking good. Next thing we'll do is put in some borders. So just highlight your whole table, just like that. And up the top, little border window here, just select all borders. That just whacks some borders around the cells we're going to be using. Next thing you might do is put in a bit of colour. Okay, it's up to you what you use here, but I think light colour is going to look best. I might actually merge and center the revenue and then push it back to the left alignment. And I'm going to colour that in with purple. And then the prices here, I might change them to blue. Okay, that looks pretty good. I might do similar stuff down the bottom here. It's just a matter of you choosing what colours you want to use. Oops. There we go. So I think that looks pretty good. That's a lot easier to read now. You can see you've got two distinct sections, the revenue at the top, the costs at the bottom. Okay, and down the bottom stands out a bit, the profit and loss. So we need to work out if we're making a profit or a loss. What else can we do? We can highlight the numbers, center align them. I think they'll look better. We might do the ones that don't exist yet as well. That's looking pretty good actually. So that will probably do us. I'll tick off the first question. Alright. Number 2 says we need to change the prices, costs and totals so that they are in accounting format with 2 decimal places. So that's basically just making our numerical values or our currency values look like their currency with dollar signs and decimal places. So you can see here the prices per item. Okay, we need to change them to accounting format. So the quick way to do is just highlight the prices, head up the top to your ribbon and find that dollar sign and click it, and make sure that little box above it says accounting. If so, you'll get the dollar signs down the left, and then you'll get 2 decimal places with your numbers pushed over to the right. Okay, do that for total revenue as well. I know there's nothing in that box yet, but we'll put it in accounting format already, so when we do put something in there, it's all good to go. Because this is just items sold, it's not actually a price, we just leave that as it is. Just realise those headings aren't centered. I better center them. Alright, looking down the bottom, we've got the costs just here. Highlight them and press the dollar sign at the top. Do the same for the total costs. Oops. Find that dollar sign and click it. And also down the bottom, profit and loss. Even though there's nothing in it yet, it will need to be in accounting format because we do want dollar signs and decimal places shown. Okay, so that looks pretty good. It's looking a lot neater already and a hell of a lot easier to read. So number 3 here says using a formula, complete the total revenue and total costs columns. So remember, columns go up and down. So here's our total revenue column, and here's our total costs column. The formula is quite simple. Okay, for the total revenue, we just need to work out how much money we made from ticket sales. So if each ticket sold for $75.20 and Ed Sheeran sold out 20,000 tickets, we just need to times those numbers together to get the total revenue. So we write equals, we click on cell C5, and we times it by the one next to it, D5. And that's our formula, equals C5 times D5. We're just timesing two numbers together. Press enter, and you can see you made about $1.5 million just from ticket sales alone. Next one down, we click equals, click on price of the CDs, times them by how many were sold, and we get our total. Equals, click on the hats, price, times it by how many were sold, and we get our number. Now a quick way to fill in these columns, instead of typing out all of that data, those formulas each time, what you can do is you can just click on this last cell that we're working on, and in the bottom right hand corner is a little square that you can click on and just drag it down. Okay, and that's called the fill down technique, and what it does is it looks at the formula you used there, it says, alright, I'll fill that down to the next box, and I can see that they're working their way down the table, so it adjusts the formula to times the posters together, and then it moves down and adjusts it so it adds the t-shirts together, and then the last one is the key rings. Okay, adjust the formula for you so you don't have to worry about changing it. Okay, so that's a quick way to fill out the formula, the fill down technique. I'll show you it again in a moment. Okay, so down in the cost section, we're going to leave the total revenue for now. We aren't up to that yet. We're just filling out total revenue and total cost for each item. Alright, so we're into the cost section now. So this is how much Ed Sheeran had to actually spend on merchandise and things like that to get his tour up and running. So the first thing is the CD. He could get them made for $9.99 each, and he had to buy 10,000 of them. Okay, so in the total cost here, it's the same formula. We just write equals. We click on how much the CD cost him to make, and we times it by how many he bought. Okay, so it's equals C15 times D15, and we press enter. Okay, so almost $100,000 that it cost him. Now instead of typing that formula in time and time again, remember, just click on this first one, grab the little box in the right hand corner and drag it down and let go. Okay, and you can see that we've used the fill down technique, and that's filled that formula in. Just have a look up here in the formula bar. It's filled that formula in each of those cells. Okay, and it takes into account that we're moving down a row each time. Okay, so very handy technique to save you a lot of writing. So remember that fill down technique. So we can tick off number 3 now. Number 4 here says we need to complete the total revenue and total cost rows using a formula. Okay, so that's these blue boxes here. We need to work out how much money he actually made from this tour. So basically just adding all these numbers together. So you could write equals sum and then add it together using our usual formula. Or I want to show you another shortcut. Let Excel do that for you. Up the top, click on auto sum. And what that does is it writes in the formula for you, and it guesses what you want to add together. And in this case, it's guessed correctly what we wanted to add together. So all you need to do is click that auto sum button once and press enter. Okay, so you can see he made about $2 million from one of his concerts. Looking down a bit lower in the total cost section, we click in this box here, go up the top and press auto sum, and you can see that it adds together all the numbers we'd expect. So press enter. You can see that it cost him about $363,000 to create his merchandise and advertise and things like that. Okay, I'll just put that in bold. I realised it wasn't in bold. Alright, so that's number 4 done. Quite simple. Number 5 says using a formula determine whether or not Ed Sheeran's tour is making a profit or loss, and do this in cell E24. Okay, so cell E24 would be this one just here. And we need to work out if he's actually making money from this tour or losing money. And it's just a simple subtraction. We just write equals, click on how much money we're making, we take away how much we're spending. So E11 minus E22, press enter, and it gives us a total figure of almost a bit over $1.5 million. So he's making quite a big profit from this tour. So check off number 5. Number 6, create a column chart that shows the total costs involved in this tour. Okay, got to be careful with this one. You've got to read the question carefully. We're looking at total costs only. So down the bottom is our costs section down here. What we want is the total cost for everything. So we start from the CD down to the manager's fee. Press Control on our keyboard and hold it down, and we highlight all the total costs associated with these names over here. Once you've got those 2 columns selected, that's when you can head up the top to the Insert tab and look for the column charts. That's this one just here. Alright, and we'll just bring that down a little bit lower. So you need to give your chart a title. We'll call it Total Costs. And if you want, you can click on that once and change its format, so how it looks. It's up to you what you do with that. I don't want anything too fancy. That'll do me. You can change the colors if you'd like. And you can add chart elements like axis titles in. So down the bottom, the primary horizontal one would be items. And the axis title for vertical would be costs. Alright, so that's our first column chart sorted out for number 6. Tick that off. Number 7 says create a bar chart showing where the revenue is coming from, excluding ticket sales. So we don't include ticket sales in this. So we look up the top now. Remember, this is our revenue section. Okay, and we don't want tickets, so leave it out. We're just going to highlight from the CD down to the keyring. Hold Control on our keyboard, and then just highlight the numbers or the prices that are associated with these names. Head up to our Insert tab, and we're going to make a bar chart this time. It's the one that goes horizontally. Alright, I might leave the colours as is. I'll give it a title though. And it's going to be called Total Revenue. Now you can see an issue with the prices down the bottom, all squished and jumbled together, and that's just because our chart's not wide enough. If you were to stretch it out, eventually they would fit, as you can see there, but it's quite wide when you do that, so just be careful there. The last thing you want to do with this chart is just add in axis titles. So primary horizontal, the one that goes along the bottom, that's just revenue. And if we add in another one, the vertical, it was the items sold. Alright, so that's our chart for the total revenue. See the t-shirts were definitely the big winner there. Alright, so number 7 can be ticked off. Nearly there now. Number 8 says using the min formula, determine which product provided the least amount of revenue. Write your formula here in this grey box and write your answer over here. Okay, so let's start with the formula. The min formula basically looks for the smallest number in a range of data. So if we write the equal sign, write the word min, open up our brackets and highlight, what are we looking for? Revenue. So we highlight all of these revenue figures here. Close up the bracket. So there's our formula, equals min E5 colon E10. So it looks at all the data between E5 and E10. And when we press enter, it gives us the smallest number is 6,225. So there it is there, and that was posters. So in the box on the right, just write the word posters. That's number 8 done. Number 9 says using the max formula, determine which item was the highest seller, excluding ticket sales. Write our formula here. So you write equals max, and we open up a bracket. Now we're not highlighting ticket sales, so we start from the CD sales and go down. So it's E6 to E10. There's our formula just there, so make sure you've got that the same. Equals max E6 to E10, and in that range of data it tells us that 386,000 was the highest seller. That was t-shirts. So in the box on the right, just write t-shirts. That's number 9 ticked off. 2 left. So number 10 says import an image of Ed Sheeran singing at a concert. Resize it to fit neatly underneath your table. Okay, so you need to go into Google Images, find yourself a picture of Ed Sheeran and save it into your account. Once you've got it saved in your account, you can go up to the Insert tab at the top, and there should be an option for you to bring in a picture. Okay, so it says Pictures. I'm just going to go to my Pictures and grab a picture of Ed Sheeran I saved earlier. Resize it. Remember, it has to fit nice and neatly under your table. So I'm just going to make it about the same width as my table. And there it is there. That's how you bring pictures into spreadsheets. Number 11 says print a copy of this spreadsheet, ensuring that it fits neatly onto one page. You may need to adjust the page setup to include all information. Okay, so there's a few things you can do here. First up, page layout. Change the orientation to landscape. Okay, that just turns your page onto its side. The next thing you want to do is go to File and select Print. And from here you can have a look to see if it fits on one page. I'm lucky enough that it all fits on one page now that I've turned it into landscape orientation. If you were still in portrait, oh yeah, it does fit. Might just squish it in there. But landscape looks good. Now actually, here's the option here, this bottom one. Fit sheet on one page. If I selected no scaling, you can see that it would start chopping it off. Alright, so that bottom box is probably the trick to it. Fit sheet on one page. Once you've got it looking like that, then you can print it, and that will probably do you. So we tick off number 11, and we're all done. So save it up, and I will see you in the next video.